VoyMonk here, video voice vlog. One of the things that I mentioned yesterday about being self-aware. Being self-aware, there's things that I know. First of all, I'm very boring. I don't have an overall over-the-top voice in any capacity, whether I would say it's great or wonderful, or I don't think it's terrible, but you never know. Sometimes I even surprise myself. But by using the term being self-aware, that doesn't necessarily mean that I don't have my blind spots or things that I am completely unaware of. I'll give you an example. When I started out with doing radio and my journey to be a radio broadcaster, one of the things that I learned, amongst a lot of other things, is that the way that a person hears their voice is quite a bit different than the way the rest of the world experiences that same voice. Meaning, I think one of the things that probably shocked me when I was inspired to want to be a radio broadcaster was that the voices that I heard on the radio, one of the first things that I would do to kind of, practice my chops a little bit is obviously I'd get a voice recorder and I would record it and then play it back. And much to my surprise is that what I listened to back versus what I thought I would be hearing inside my own head, they were completely different. And in fact, listening to myself was quite a bit difficult. And I think this is also true for a lot of different things as well. I think if you do movies or TV or you're on film or things like that, I think one of the things that kind of is a bit jarring, especially at first, is seeing or watching or hearing, just like hearing yourself for the first time. And that experience can do one of a few different things. For me, it just encouraged me to figure out different ways to, I guess, if, for example, in my situation, to make my voice sound better, to do things that I thought would maybe make what I was trying to do more engaging, or at least more appealing. I mean, everybody wants to have a voice like Barry White, or at least I kind of did. I mean, that loud, booming voice or whatever. But the fact of the matter is that I think that's just one aesthetically pleasing experience that a person can have. However, from the outside looking in, what I think a lot of people don't necessarily recognize is that thing about hearing yourself or seeing yourself for the first time as the world sees you, as opposed to the way that you may interpret or experience yourself, that there's quite a bit of contrast in that. And I think that extends to so many other different mediums or so many other different forms of entertainment or content that people take on. So, for example, like let's say a supermodel. I mean, supermodels know that they're beautiful because the world tells them that they're beautiful. But the really weird thing is that when they start out, generally, it's not that they're necessarily ugly or they aren't beautiful in some context, in many contexts or whatever already. But the truth of the matter is that sometimes our experience is influenced by things that aren't quite as organic as we sometimes, I think. For example, I think one of the ones that I mentioned before is about Tom Cruise and his big front tooth. Something that one of my school chums that I was going to school with had kind of mentioned to me, and it was something that I wasn't quite sure of because I had never seen it, meaning I never had focused on it. But of course, then after, it was something that I couldn't unsee or, again, at least unless I wasn't thinking about it, which eventually I think I kind of did. But the point being is that being self-aware, I think, kind of falls in line with all the things that I just mentioned in terms of good, bad, and ugly. And I'll, of course, later on in the week, I'll bring up a few different things that I think go along with what I mentioned on Monday in terms of self-awareness. And yeah, so until next time, take care.